Am I going to be able to keep my mask off when we're?
Yeah, you can take it.
Where do we want?
You're gonna sit right there. I'm just gonna introduce you and then, once we get going.
Okay.
No one-on-one.
And we'll wait just a few minutes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on here too to just check it out.
Make sure we're recording.
Yeah. Okay, got this showing up. It's ready to go.
Ready? All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the mill and our lunch and learn for February. And today we're excited. We're going to have Robert Head from the SBDC talk about market research. There's been a lot of new databases and new programs that they have access to that will help you go out to find out how big your market is and to help, grow your business and potentially move into different areas. So we're going to get started. We have a lot of information to go. You guys online, ask questions, and Monique will pick those up, and then we'll get started. So,
Very good.
Robert Head.
Thank you. Am I in a good spot?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. I am excited about being able to talk about marketing and market research. I run the market research department for the Small Business Development Center here in Utah. Work with the lead center and service all 15 of our regional offices throughout the state. We want to talk a little bit today about what's involved in marketing and market research specifically. As you start to reach out or as you start to develop an idea or a concept, there are some things that you want to be able to do in order to minimize your time spent on a project that may or may not work, and to be more efficient about how you pursue it and how you want to develop the product or the service that you're working on. First idea is that you have to remember to avoid, and this is the biggest challenge that most people get into, is avoiding self-reference criterion. Self-reference criterion, and I apologize for not having any charts or bullet items. I wasn't sure of the format here, but nevertheless, self-reference criterion is what we think about the world. It's our reference point of the world and how it exists and what it ought to be. And a lot of people get caught up in this, in their perspective, what we call self-reference criterion, and they develop ideas around that without proving them, without proving that maybe the world doesn't look at it the way I do, maybe the market doesn't look at it the way I do. So what we want to do is we want to prove the concept first. Now, this is a simple process. It doesn't take a lot of money. If you have an idea, you have a product or a concept, you put together maybe a sample or a prototype of your product. I had a guy who had an interesting idea for a shovel, and it was an adaptation to a shovel to make it easier to use. And he had gone quite a bit down the road in product design, way beyond the prototype, and developed actually several copies of this product and spent quite a bit of money before he had even talked to anybody about it. So the first thing that I told him was, what do others feel about it? And how would they use this, and would they find it useful? And with this particular product, I told him to go to talk to a contractor or contractors or just neighbors that do a lot of gardening. And he was able to find out that his design was a little bit flawed based on what feedback he got because of how they were using it or what they thought it would be useful for. And then when it got into cost and things like that, he abandoned the idea, but he spent quite a bit of money before he went down that road. Proof of concept is critical. You've got to be able to understand how people would use it and whether or not it's really going to be useful. You could do this, like I said, through family and friends or close associates. Now, some people say, well, I don't want to give away my idea. I don't want people to take it and run with it. More importantly, you don't want to get down the road and find out that it's not going to be useful. Most people aren't interested in taking your idea, believe it or not. Most people have their own battles they have to fight in life, their own jobs, their own pursuits, and most people would simply be willing to share their thoughts and ideas with you. If you're very concerned about it, and if it involves technology and other things, you can always utilize and get an attorney to help you put together a non-disclosure agreement where they sign an agreement not to disclose or utilize the information you're sharing with them in any way other than to give you feedback. Okay? That's proof of concept where you want to be able to understand how other people feel about it. If there is an overwhelming rejection of your idea, you may want to rethink it. If you get a good majority of people that give you positive feedback with maybe some suggestions, then you may want to pursue it and go down the road a little further. But proof of concept, first of all, avoid self-reference criterion, and then go back to proof of concept and make sure that this is going to work, that you have a good product, you were thinking correctly, or maybe you need to adjust a few things about it and move on, okay? So that's the first step in your research. Now, once you get to the point where you have a product that has possibilities, or maybe you putting a twist on something that's already very popular, but you're giving it some benefit or additional, maybe you're applying some technology that nobody else was. I've got a doctor, he's actually a veterinarian who I've done research for, and he had this idea for in dealing with animal production and dealing with certain livestock, and he's got a product that would enhance that possibility. Although there's a lot of products out there that are already doing that. Okay, so now he wants to find out what's the market like, and what I do is I help people take it from that point forward and identify what the market is. Is there a market for your product? What industry does it reside in? What industry would you be in if you actually went into production with this product, or even with the service? We utilize primarily the North American Industry Code Services, which is we call it the NAICS, or NAICS. And you should understand where you fit. If you're in agriculture, you're going to be in the tens. It starts with 2 digits, and 10 is I believe it's 10 or 11 is agricultural. If your product is in manufacturing, you're going to be somewhere in the 31 to 33s. Then you get into wholesale, distribution, retail. Then there's information. There's I think there's almost 18 to 20 different major sectors within the NAICS code system. And then they break that down into different industry sectors and segments as well. There's up to 6 different codes, and you want to know what your industry code is, so that when you open your business up, you can classify it accordingly. A lot of people will put nondescript corporation or business, undefined business. You want to understand what your business is, people can find you. So that's an important fact. And then we will help you research that industry. And a lot of times we can drill down into sub-segments within the NAICS coding system and identify competitors. That's how we identify who your suppliers could be, who your other customers, if it's B2B. And we can also go in and help you understand your consumer business as well. And there's ways to do that. But you want to start with the industry. What industry am I in? And what is the market within that industry? Is it growing? Is it in decline. A lot of industries are in decline, and you want to know whether or not there is. Now, that doesn't mean your idea is a bad idea. If an industry is in decline, you just want to understand better how you're going to target it with something unique that might provide a growth opportunity. Okay, and that's also a matter of research through our industry tools. So we have several industry tools that we can rely upon. And then you want to understand the local market. Are you going after a local market, like in the county? Is your service oriented towards maybe the Wasatch Front? We can include research from several counties, and we will pull competitive market reports. And those market reports show where the industry, that particular industry is, and it actually drills down into subsegments that show if it's in decline, but yet there's some segments that are growing, and we can help you identify those as well. So the industry reports and then market reports, and the market reports can also expand into regional reports where we can identify either, like I said, local county information, even drill down to neighborhood groups that you may be targeting if you're a retail business. But then we can also go into statewide and even multiple state analysis if you are more regional rather than national. And we can do that too as well.
I have a question.
Yes.
So is there any specific markets that are in decline that you know of right now?
You know, obviously manufacturing is a general sector is taking a major hit because a lot of that has gone overseas.
Oh, really?
Textile industry is a big deal right now. People want to get into making clothes there, but they're going to find that in the U.S., manufacturing is in decline. However, the textile or apparel industry is going crazy, especially online. So where do you want to fit in the supply chain? Are you a manufacturer? And if you are, where are you going to get it made? That's important. So manufacturing of textiles is in decline, but apparel sales and what is it? Apparel, it escapes me, but you know, the things that go with the apparel, the accessories, those are going great, both from a retail standpoint. They're doing all right, depending on where you're at, but that's also taking a hit from the online retail sales, you know, so that's important too to understand. And where do you want to fit in that? You know, even a brick and mortar operation can do well, especially if they're duplicating that with their online sales. Okay, so that's a good example, and I appreciate it. So textile industry and apparel, depending on where you fit, it's important to understand.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Anything online? Anybody asking questions?
No one yet online, but
I've got a question along the line with the manufacturing. So if you are planning to manufacture here locally, can you go out and find the resources? Like, what if it's a specialized plastic injection molding?
Very good question. Yes, we have tools and resources to be able to help you understand where to get certain things done. You know, whether it's a machine shop that's going to create a prototype for you, or whether you're going to look for something in mass production. Moldings, we can help you identify suppliers in that regard. I don't know if I'm answering your question properly. Or also where you could even contract out the final assembly. And if you're going to send any of that, whether it's components down to the component level and send it overseas, we can help you identify some of the companies out there that will help you do that, or help you identify them where they are here in the U.S. There are a lot of companies that are still providing those services here locally. And some of it has started to rebound a little bit over the last several years. We've seen some rejuvenation in manufacturing, but some of them, I don't know if we'll ever see them again.
yeah, and that was my question. You can help them find manufacturers overseas if they need to, or products overseas?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can give them several different options. I rarely ever provide any opinion on the information that I provide. I provide data and information, do analysis of that, and then want to leave it open for them to do their own decision making. If they come back and press me for that, then I can give them some suggestions or ideas. But I really don't want to get into the opinion
Yeah.
industry of
I
side of
understand
things,
that, yeah,
you know?
yeah, you don't, yeah.
A couple of times I have actually, expressed an opinion, this is gonna be a tough road to hoe because
Yeah.
the industry is in decline or it's all overseas or whatever, whatever you're gonna try to do, you might wanna rethink that. But I've rarely done that. The data will usually speak for itself.
How much do you get into market analysis for international? Do you do any of that?
Yeah, I do. We've actually picked up a couple. It used to rely solely on Dun Bradstreet's Hoovers because we had their international information, but now we've picked up a couple of other global data resources that help us identify where the market is for and where the buyers are for different things, whether it's in Europe or Asia or wherever. We can help with that a lot more detail.
One more question
Yes.
along the same line. Let's just say that I have an interest in resort destination towns.
Sure.
And particularly desert. So is Kanab, it's a small town, is there enough data? Can you pull enough data out of a small community like that to support marketing activities, or is that too small?
Well, yeah, let me address that in a couple of ways. First of all, I can pull data from any town. I can pull the demographics. I mean, most of our stuff comes from the Census Bureau anyway, and it's reformatted so that it's easily identified and then presented. If you ever try to go through the Census Bureau to get this information, it's just so much, it's just numbers, and it boggles people's minds. So we've provided in a very detailed and organized fashion that's easy to identify. But yes, we can go into the canvas and identify what the demographics are, what the households are, and the makeup and all that. We can identify the businesses that are there and how they're doing and what they're, how many employees they have. And we do that. Now, as far as a resort town, some of your demographics are going to be, depending on the industries that are employing the people there, it'll tell us a few things. If you go, for instance, you go down to, what's the town in Zions, just before Zions, and it's,
Springdale.
thank you, yes, Springdale. And it's all hotels and restaurants, and that's where the employment is, and so you can tell, this is a good place for this. We can also identify how many people, what is the total demand for those services there in that town versus the demand just from the local community. And the gap is what we call a retail gap. We can identify what that gap is. And if there's no retail gap, that means the supply exceeds the demand locally. We know there's a lot of people coming in from out of town to pick that business up, that create that demand. And so there's opportunity to make it. And then it comes down to quality and other things like that we can get into with people.
And then your reach is versus the worldwide though. If I want to go to Myrtle Beach.
Well, US is the primary markets where we can identify that information. Going beyond the US for specific detailed demographic data and drilling down we can do that in the US and in Canada. Okay.
But you're comfortable anywhere in the US.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I have a question too. So what about could you identify specifically, like maybe what cities in America need more corn dog stands or something like that? Can you do that?
I've been asked those questions.
Yeah.
And it's tough to take a product and try to establish a national market for that. There are resources that we can pull, but where are the gaps? That we have to kind of break down on a regional basis, go region by region to try to identify those. Okay. Now we can do that if you have specific regions you want to look for. I got a client that wants to open up several, he's opened up a couple of franchises. Can't really go into the details, but he's opened up a couple of food franchises. And he's come to me and goes, I want to identify where this would be good in, say, in Florida.
Yeah.
And so I've gone in and I've said, well, okay, here's what the market looks like in Florida. Here's where the people are, where the population centers are. And then he'll say, okay, and I'll ask him, I'll say, what is your profile, your customer profile? Who mostly buys your product? I'm not going to be able to tell him what that is. Most
Yeah.
people have to be able to understand and provide that. Now I can help him in that effort, but they have to be, well, most of my customers are 25 to 40 years old. They're just middle income people that make maybe $60,000, $70,000 a year per household or something like that. And they may be guessing, but I can take that information and then I can drill down into that a little bit better and identify multiple different, what we call consumer segments. Now, let me disclose something here that really isn't a big secret. Our demographic and consumer tools we get through Esri. And Esri is, you've probably seen their ads on TV. They're the guys who map the world, and they map the US and the segments, and they've developed the Tapestry consumer segmentation system. And I'll tell you what, it's fantastic. There's 66 different consumer segments, everything from what they call the top tier, the top earners in the country, all the way down to students, and they break it down into ethnic organizations or ethnic groups as well. Because sometimes you're looking for different ethnic groups that will be a great consumer base for your product, And so we can break those all down, 66 different, what they call Tapestry segments, and then they're all compiled into different life modes. And those life modes I think there's 12 life modes, and then they break out into segments. So yes, we can do that.
Wow.
And then I was able to go in and say, okay, here's your buyers, here's your customers, and they're these three segments primarily to show up in your information that you've given me. And so that's what we want to find. We want to find where those segments are focused, and I can actually go in and drill into a county, into a community, or into a state and identify where those are. And then he was able to select a place, and it's the #1 store in that franchise right now.
Good,
And he's looking for other places in other states now. And
good.
we're going to utilize that same tool.
Wow.
So yeah, we can do
Now,
that.
are you the only one that can do this at the,
Well,
or is that
I've-
other people?
I've tried to train other people. We have a limited budget with the SBDC, and I've tried to train. I've got one guy that also with me in the lead center. He's an analyst with us, and he can do certain things. But I've also pushed those tools, some of those tools, out to the regions, to the regional directors and to their advisors. And for instance, our industry research reports can be accessed by anybody within the network. They don't need me to do it. They can also access even the market reports and the financial, and that includes not only market reports. And those, when I say market reports, I'm talking about the local market competitive reports. We can also provide to them those financial reports. What's the industry doing on a financial basis? If you're just starting out, you want to know, what should my finances look like? What should my sales look like? Average sales per business in the area. What are the ratios? Financial ratios are important. So you want to know what are my target ratios? What should they be? And we can provide those reports to you as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We also have a valuation toolkit that will, if you have a business and you're looking to maybe get out of the business, what is my business worth? And we can help you with that.
Awesome.
Can you do that same market research for services?
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Most of our service is service oriented. Most of our, research is service oriented, just because services are a big business. Yes, absolutely. The services are as much a part of the North American industry coding system as manufacturing or products. Okay. So the other thing we can do is we can provide if you then decide, okay, here's my market, I'm a business to business, I'm a B2B business, I want to go find businesses that I can target, then we can help you build a database of potential prospects, and we can build that database on, like I said, a local, county, state, or even a national level. Now, once it goes national, then we have to do it a section at a time because the database can get pretty big, and we can take it. So I'll give you big chunks that you can go tackle, and once you get through that, then come back to me for more, and we'll help you do that. So, but yes, we can even provide those databases. Now, we have the ability to provide consumer data, but those lists, I mean, I could overwhelm my time with developing a consumer database prospect list. But what I'd rather do, and what we do is through the Esri tool, I can map those consumers for you. So then you can go target your marketing in that way, and also utilize your social media for targeting them as well.
So if I wanted to find out how many skateboarders there are in Tucson, Arizona, can you do that?
I could probably find out who owns skateboards or something similar. I could find out also who's using, or what the usage is for skate parks. I can identify the number of skate parks and what their usage looks like.
Okay.
I don't know that I can actually, it just, if I could show who's actually, how many skateboards are sold. Yeah. I do have some tools I can rely on that I go to that are outside my typical resource tools, and sometimes I can get that information.
Sorry for joining late.
That's okay.
So, these services are offered to anyone within Utah,
You
or?
bet. Anybody in Utah can utilize these services. If you're even a business or want to start a business, if you're in Texas and you're moving to Utah, you can contact, the regional office where you're moving, and we can help you get things going. Absolutely. These are, the SBDC, or Small Business Development Center, is a resource provider of the Small Business Administration, the U.S. Small Business Administration, in partnership with the Governor's Office for Economic Development here in the state of Utah. Other states have other economic development organizations as well, and so the SBA partners with the state's economic development division, or in this case it's GOED, and the institutions like Salt Lake Community College here that host the Small Business Development Center.
Okay.
So SLIC here is the host of the Salt Lake Center, or Sandy Center.
Yeah, and what is the turnaround like on a project to go and identify consumers?
Well, usually the turnaround is not that long. I can usually gather data and information once I start a research engagement and have it completed within a few days to maybe a week at the most, depending on how detailed it is. And I'll do a little bit at a time because I've got multiple research projects I work. I'll juggle them throughout the day.
Okay.
Typically, I'm working on about a 2-week delay or 2 to 3 week delay, but we've got a Goldman Sachs cohort that just began. Now, let me explain that. We also provide the research for the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business program that's hosted here at Salt Lake Community College. And when we get a cohort going there, I get pretty backed up. Right now, I'm saying that I've got a 3 to 4 week, going from 3 to 4 weeks right now. But when I get that fully filled up, sometimes with the SBDC demand as well, I'm looking at sometimes 6 weeks out. And
probably
I hate that, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, probably one of your biggest criteria is us coming to you with good information that you can just take and run with instead of asking some other questions. Is that right?
Yeah, like I said, I've pushed a lot of these tools out to the regional directors and advisors. So when somebody is assigned to an advisor, some of the information can be provided right up front, just like some quick, fast, deliverables that they can hand you pretty fast. It's when you take that and you say, well, what about this and what about that? And you want to drill down to it, then they're going to hand it off to me.
So, and on average, how long does it take to get into the SBDC? I know that's been one of our clients.
It should be fast. It's online, the SBDC .org. It's
Yeah, Utah SBDC.
UtahSBDC.org.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be very fast. You should be able to get in there and then I don't know what the delay time is. If you're rural, I think it's actually a little quicker.
Is it?
It should be. I don't know, but they don't have as much demand as say you find with the Orem,
Yeah.
Salt Lake, or even the
Yeah.
Davis County office. You know, they get pretty slammed sometimes, and they might be a couple weeks out. Okay. But I'd have to defer to them. I don't know what
Yeah.
the delay time is.
Well, I could ask.
Anyway, I don't know if I covered all the bases. You want to make sure, just in review, how much time do we have, by the way?
You have another half hour. If you
Oh,
want.
wow.
So,
Okay, well, just to kind of go over this again and see if I'm missing anything, you want to proof the concept first and avoid the self-reference criterion. And then you want to go look at the market and see what it is. And that's where we get involved. We help you with, on a national to even an international basis. I can get global reports for you to show where the market is growing and help you identify also suppliers as well as buyers. If you're developing a product that is, maybe goes through distribution, I can help you identify who's the wholesale, what's the wholesale market and the distributors, who they are, where they're at. And then for retail, we can help you understand your brick and mortar businesses and what it's going to take and what's the best practices for succeeding as a brick and mortar these days and how to compete with online e-commerce. That's a big challenge right now. And a lot of companies are really hurting because there's a lot of companies are really hard to get them over to that e-commerce. But if they can make that bridge, a lot of brick and mortars are doing very well with e-commerce as well and partnering with groups like Etsy and others and doing okay. Amazon has a great platform for people who have business ideas and products and even services if they want to get out there and get their services known.
Amazon, huh, for services?
Well, there's certain avenues you can go through, and also there's other resources you can utilize to help you get yourself be known also. One of the old time resources for finding suppliers or services was the Thomas guides. Big stack. Everybody would annually get their renewal of Thomas guides that took up a whole shelf. I mean, I'm old enough to remember that, know that. But thomasnet.com is a great service that has gone online and can help you source anything from services to wholesale. And if you are a service that has a broad spectrum of consumers or customers, even consumers, ThomasNet is a good way to go. And they have an online system that will help other manufacturers find you if you have the ability to provide components or services or other things, design services and things like that are good services offered through there. Okay. John,
who should not do market research?
if you're looking to start a business,
Who should not?
nobody. Nobody should not.
What if you're in business? You've been in business for 10 years.
Well, one of the great things about what we do is we help validate and offer and identify growth opportunities. That's what we're doing for the Goldman Sachs program. These are companies that have been around for anywhere from a couple of years to maybe 10 years. I mean, I've done research for companies through that program that have been around for 10 to 20 years, and they're looking with the challenges that the market's presented these days and new technology, they're looking for other avenues. They're looking to expand or grow it in some other way. And the whole idea behind that is to help them develop a growth plan. And our whole purpose is to help them validate that growth plan. And so yes, absolutely, every company there's corporations that spend millions of dollars on market research, very specific to what they're doing. And so everybody needs and can utilize market research. it's a real need, and it helps you avoid a lot of pitfalls. Any other questions?
Sorry, questions online?
No questions on mine,
Okay.
I'm answering a few over here.
unless you guys have questions on mine.
Well, I'd like to be able to offer my services. Now, if anybody wanted to get a hold of me directly, that would be fine, but I'm going to reroute you through the SBDC offices wherever you reside and get you to sign up with the advisor and then go through me. I can't really take direct requests because we tried that and I just got overwhelmed. And so we're doing it through the advisors at the SBDC.
Do we have a specific advisor assigned to the mail?
No, there's several guys downstairs in the regional office. They've probably got the biggest staff that, in the SBDC is downstairs. Jim Herron is the director, regional director down there, and Bryce is the associate director. And then they've got Rick, who actually works with the VA and veterans. And that's another area of great service that he's providing there. And we've got a couple other people as well.
Okay.
And what does it cost?
There is no cost to our services. This is a government-supported program, and it's one of the greatest returns on investment that the government receives for the tax dollars they spend.
I'm sure that's true.
Absolutely. We have to justify ourselves, and our impact reports show definitely a return on investment to the government for the dollars they spend every year. And we, here in Utah, have one of the greatest success stories with the SBDC and the work that we're doing here. It's a very good return on investment.
Great.
So,
I got one more question.
you bet.
What, if I'm a small business and I'm not exactly sure what, where, how to do market research, is there like a checklist, a resource that I can go to get better prepared, or do I just sign up and meet with an advisor?
There's actually a few things, and if you don't mind, and I apologize, I don't have that here, but I can send it to you if you want to distribute that.
Okay, perfect.
I've got kind of a start list,
That'd be great.
and I'll put that together. Let me just make a note,
That would be super great.
and I'll send it to you, John, and then you can distribute that. And then, and it gives other instruction and information on where they can go after that. Okay? That'd be great. Okay? Well, I don't know, I don't want to just
Kill time.
Yeah.
jabber, but there's a
You guys
lot
have
of,
any questions about what's going on in your business?
anything specific about an industry or I've covered, I don't know how many, I've covered the gamut. I've been doing this since 2014 and I do anywhere from 120 to 150 engagements every year. And so I've covered a lot of different businesses, whether it's service oriented or product oriented. And
do you cover like people starting up podcasts? Would that be considered a service? Because I know that like me and my partner need to figure out market research that we're just at the beginning. I don't know if that like qualifies as.
I can certainly provide information on the podcasts that are out there, how many there are. If it has a revenue stream to it, then we can usually identify something there, but it just depends on what exactly the podcast, what's its purpose, what's the objective there, and we have to talk about that.
Okay.
Every time we sit down with a client, I encourage the advisors, and if they need me to participate, I can help with that, but we go through a discovery process, and that's what I'll send you also kind of an outline for that discovery process. And you want to be able to address some of those questions. You be prepared to do that. And then through that, I actually put together an outline for what we call the research engagement.
Do you ever deal with putting together research regarding small businesses that are looking to exit or to, bring in, partners to help them grow? Do you have anything along those lines, Leslie?
Well, we certainly provide through the we can provide exit strategies. Our advisors would work with you on exit strategies. I would do the research on valuation through our valuation toolkits and help you understand what the value of your business is. We can actually, your business, if you're an existing business, you might even be listed and registered with the valuation toolkit. If not, we can certainly take your information and align it with other businesses in the same industry, right down to the local level.
Yeah.
And then that'll help identify what your value is, and then your advisor can work with you on some kind of a marketing program to go find the right people.
And we're kind of on the other side of it. We're wanting to kind of get in front of people who are looking to sell or looking for investors that are smaller and wanting to grow, that have a product or service that, you know, has viability.
You'd have to get with your advisor on that, and whether or not I could provide any service for research, we'd have to determine that depending on what it is.
Okay. And for evaluation, do you need financial data?
Well, historicals are going to be important, so that we can align your business with other businesses and then determine that value. What the multipliers, we'll want to identify what the multipliers are for that industry or the industry segment, and then how you compare to the rest of the market. That's how it's done.
And you have access to the multipliers.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. That's one of the important things our toolkit provides.
So Sarah asks, do you have a list of typical web references a business owner could go to for doing market research on their own? And if so, are there particular words or phrases that help in the search process?
Well, for doing research on your own, there's a couple of things you can do. The library provides you with some tools. If you go through a library and get online with the library, whether it's the county library or through a university or college library, there are tools that are available that can help you. There's also Statista is a resource that most universities do provide online. You can even, you know, it's limited unless you have an account, a paying account. You're not going to be able to really get a lot of information out of them on their free account. But Statista is one that you can go to, and they usually do surveys. They provide survey data on products and services as well. But usually you can get access through the university library or I don't know if the county libraries provide them or access, but there are some tools that the county libraries do provide that you can get information on. Reference USA used to be Info Group. They changed their name, but Reference USA is another one that where you can find. It's limited access, but you can still find businesses that you might want to target, or you may want to look at what's the number of businesses in this area. You can do that on your own. And then once again, the Census Bureau. The Census Bureau has some tools that allow you to do that, but you got to be able to fish through their website and sift through all the different data resources they provide. It's very, very complex and confusing. You got to know where you're going. It takes a little bit of effort, but you can do that. Anything else? That's about all I have. If anybody wants any other additional information, they can get a hold of me through John, and we can go from there. I'll get that start list to you with the outline for the discovery sessions. Okay.
Have any more questions?
No more questions on mine yet, so.
Okay.
we'll delay.
All right, well, thanks, Robert. Again,
you.
you guys, this is a free service. Take advantage of it. It really will help you grow and scale your business. I'll get this information from Robert, put it out on our Facebook page, our local Facebook page, and then you guys online. I think I know most of you. I'll put it out to you guys as well. Regardless if you do market research, sign up with the SBDC. They'll be your best friend for your entrepreneur journey. So with that, we'll be here next Tuesday at 9 a.m. To talk about how to pay the least amount of taxes without going to jail. So that is a class that the SBDC has been teaching for several years now. What's cool is it's kind of a primer as you lead into the tax season. And then I know they have another couple workshops scheduled before the taxes are due. So that one is, again, very worth your while just to come and see what tips and tricks you can learn to help save money. So with that, again, thanks for being here, and we will see you on Tuesday.
Thank you.
That was good. I got all my questions answered. I'll be hitting you up.